The Morning Brew podcast with Jaffe and Razor, sponsored by Berkshire Bank Home Lending. Where you borrow matters. Well, you go into the game after being down 2-0 to the Carolina Hurricanes. And even though it wasn't a must-win game, literally, I think we all can agree it was a must-win game for the Boston Bruins. Because you go down 3-0, you're done. You're playing golf, even in this crappy Boston weather we're supposed to be getting in the next couple of days. But the Bruins win on Friday night, and they make it a series now, down 2-1. As we welcome you in to Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. Bruins win 4-2 at TD Garden, a raucous TD Garden, Razor, on Friday night. This Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor, as always, is presented by Berkshire Bank. And tonight's episode is also presented by Fazenda Coffee, Bay State Brewery, and Tresca in the North End. And a little later, we will touch on all of those wonderful people. Razor, fun game. Not the greatest start, though. So maybe we found a different formula. You know, the Bruins, was it tentative? Was it nerves? I'm not sure. First shift of the game, they gave up a great shot and Swayman had to make a great save. So it was the antithesis to what we saw in Raleigh, and yet it seemed to work out for him, especially come the second period after they got that shorthanded goal late in the first to tie the game up. I know you're watching it from home. Was there one or two things that jumped out to you?
Well, it's certainly the special teams are the name of the game, and it always is come playoff time, and for them to punch through was huge. The early on, it felt they didn't get out to those shifts where they got it in down low and took advantage of Carolina. They seemed as though they're a little nervous, I guess, and
I
a
think
little
so.
just a little unsure. They're playing with a bunch of new line mates, and it takes as much as you might have practiced, or when you get out there, it starts moving a little faster than it had been. So felt like it took a little bit of time for everyone to get on the same page.
Now that they won a game, big grandiose question here. How much better do you feel? Because I'll be honest, I wasn't feeling great going into the game. I wasn't. I wasn't saying that the Bruins can't win, but I really was unsettled or unsure. Like I was trying to tell myself that they're going to, given how well Carolina played and how much they overall owned the ice the first two games when it was all said and done, right? And now, how much better do you feel after watching that game?
Well, I feel a lot better, just more so on the defensive end, because I think after those first two games, you look at it and you say, like we talked about, they played really well. They're still giving up 5 goals a game against this team, but it doesn't feel like it. It just didn't. It hadn't felt like it really for the first two games, but it seemed as though no matter how well they played or how poorly they played, they were giving up 5 goals against this team. That had been the narrative the last 4 games. It felt like it was going to be the narrative again tonight. Even with and on top of giving up the first goal the same way with the giveaway along the wall, and the missed shots, a lot of missed shots again tonight.
Yep.
I thought that seemed very noticeable to me, and it felt as though they just had their number, and no matter how they played or what happened out on the ice, it was going to be a 5-2 score for the Carolina Hurricanes. But they broke through that a little bit. So in all of those respects, I feel better. It feels as though not that they have the series now, but just that they don't have this feeling of doom against this team.
Right. So you did a lot of good things in this game, and we'll run through them. But the reality that you were able to score 2 power play goals against the best penalty kill unit in the league. You were able to get to the front of the net, and you actually, more importantly, kept them from getting to the front of the net a lot more. I'll tell you what, their D were still very aggressive along the wall. Brendan Smith he was involved, man. He was their I felt most noticeable defenseman out there all game long. But overall, the Bruins I think the best thing for the Bruins that gives me more hope is that their studs came through. You know, Marchand. Once the second period rolled around, as I said on Nesson, he was hungry. He was waiting to feast, to own the puck, and he was much more engaged. It was wonderful to see his energy level. Pastrnak with some nice play. Nice to see Hall get a goal, and it was just good in that regard, and that gives me more hope. I still think that, and Rod Brindamore said it post game, and so did Brad Marchand post game comments, that Carolina was good, but they know that wasn't their best, and so we know that come Sunday afternoon, Mother's Day, they're going to be flying. So Vinny Trocheck scores the goal at the 9:17 mark of the first period. Trocheck eventually would take some bad penalties later in the game too. He impacted the game an awful lot. Let's talk about the shorthanded goal, the one that really did help change the tenor of this game. This was classic textbook. Get it, give it, and go. Not a give and go, but you know what I mean. I mean, once Charlie Coyle got the puck in the D zone at about top of the circles or so, he took maybe a stride or two and powered it over to Jake DeBrusk, right, left wing side, and he got going so fast from the defensive blue line up. That, I think, was a huge key to this play, and that he was able to separate from the defender trying to protect him.
It was a classic Jake DeBrusk, Charlie Coyle goal that, whether it was shorthanded or we've seen that 5-on-5 with the net drive and the pace up and down the wing. Monster goal. It was them attacking and feeling confident to attack. There was a breath of fresh air, and it got those guys going. You needed a spark. As much as you talked about Marchand being hungry, you needed him back. You needed Pasta to find. You needed those three guys to find the chemistry again quickly, 5-on-5. You really needed the DeBrusks, the Coyles, the Smiths of the world. And it felt as though that picked up everybody on the bench to have those two guys involved, and on a shorthanded on top of it, just the mental hurdle that it climbed them.
Yeah, it just makes such a difference. And I was wrong. It wasn't in the zone. It was just at the blue line where Charlie actually picked up the puck after it got deflected a bit. And then he made a pass immediately over to Jake DeBrusk, which was huge. Again, it's a great lesson for kids. Move the puck, get yourself going even faster, and get it back. And it was a great saucer pass from Jake DeBrusk from the left side. Charlie Coyle busts to the far post with his stick on the ice. Gorgeous saucer pass. And it ended up flying flat on the ice. In the second period, Brad Marchand gets his first goal of these playoffs at the 5:41 mark, a wrist shot. This was a classic Marchand shift, Razor. I mean, sealed the wall on the right side after some pressure on the left wing side from Pastrnak, forced the defender to rim the puck around. Marchand seals it. And then eventually he works his way to the middle. Was it Bergeron, I think, that shot the puck, and it got deflected, and Marchand picks it up. The right/slot area. And then once he finally corrals it, moves to his left, and just for a millisecond outweighted Pyotr Kochekov and beats him on that short side. It was just classic Marchand, though, opening up 10-2, facing the net. And I think that, and even Brad admitted post-game, Razor, he said, yeah, this was the most engaged that he had been in one of the games. And I felt that we saw a Marchand that was, I think he's spot on. I thought it was, at times he was intermittent in Raleigh. It wasn't nearly enough. And again, he was excellent and deserved the first star of this game.
A classic Brad goal, getting the leverage, getting inside. He didn't get inside at all. They didn't have any shots in the slot. He didn't have any really good opportunities in games 1 or 2. It was if the only few shifts that he had, it was some perimeter stuff, and he was working in the corners a little bit. But in tonight's game, he was able to really get to the inside, imposed his will a little bit more than we saw him in Raleigh, but what we're more accustomed to seeing, quite honestly. So huge to see him score, Uh, a lot of times we see him pass that to Pastrnak and
Yep.
not shoot it. David was cocked and loaded, probably would have scored as well. They had a 2-on-1 set up, but Brad decided to shoot, and it's his first goal in a long time on a goaltender as well. So
Yes.
don't discount that for what that's worth, because yes, he scored, but the longer it goes, when you don't score again, it still just feels like an empty netter to a player. So
It's a
for
great
him,
point.
for him scoring on a goaltender should go a long ways for Game 4.
Speaking of cocked and loaded, that could describe a third of the TD Garden on Friday night as everybody was having a good time, and Taylor Hall acknowledged that in the post game when the beers are flung. I want to ask you about the Pastrnak goal, which comes up on the power play at the 14:53 mark of the second period. This comes after a 5-on-3. They don't score in the 5-on-3. I don't know if you were what you were feeling at home
Well, I
watching
thought
the
the
game.
series was over there. That's what I was thinking.
That they didn't score, right? Is
Yeah,
that what you're right?
yeah. All right, Carolina's winning this game 3-2 in overtime.
Right, and that's kind of where I was going too in my head. I'm like, "Oh shit, if they don't score here,
Yeah.
that's not good vibe. That's not good hockey juju right there, right?" I mean,
Hmm.
but then Pastrnak gets it. I think it was 17 or 16 seconds left on the 5-on-4. What I wanted to ask you about, do you think that the goaltender Piotr thought that David was going to go glove side high because he tucked it on that short side? And also the defenseman, was it Brady? No, it wasn't Shea. It was Pesci. He came across, and I think Pesci went a little more to the inside with his attempted block shot too, because I think he thought that he was maybe going to try and go glove side high. And meanwhile, Pastrnak used that toe curve to quickly elevate it and went short side. I think that was key to that shot.
Well, it's interesting. Both goals were really similar, actually, on Marchand's and Pasta's. So you wonder if they got to the tape a little bit more,
Mhm.
and is blocker a sore spot? Seemed to be going that direction most of the night. They were looking at that blocker, high blocker side. So, yeah, huge key, because David's stepping to the middle, and like you said, he pulls, snaps, and just hangs on to it that split second. Pulls it to the short side. I really think it was more a defense product, where the goaltender thinks he's got that side blocked off.
Gotcha.
But to your point, Pesci got turned around a little bit and gave up a little bit more room than usual. Monster. That's a huge goal. As much as the other two were great to get a lead, if you don't score there, the end of the second period, it's a killer,
It
huge
is.
killer, and a monster momentum boost for Carolina.
And as big as the roar as you got on the Charlie Coyle shorty, I think you would get as large of a moan or a collective groan if you don't score on that from the crowd. And I think that would deflate the crowd going into intermission
Hmm.
like that. So Pastrnak scores at 14:53 on the power play, makes it 3-1. The Bruins have an excellent second period, Razor, where they really stepped up. It was 13-8 were the shots. More than that, though, it was just how they played, I thought, in general, more control. Taylor Hall then gets on gets on the board, his second of the series at the 4:08 mark in the third period. A gorgeous feed, although over to Pastrnak and then back from him, and he's got the wide open net as Kochekov had already committed to Pastrnak. I got to tell you something, and Barry and I were agreeing about this. There was a moment where I'm like, shoot it, Taylor, off to the off to the side. He had a lot of open ice, Razor, off to the glove side or the left of Kochekov. Instead, he waited to freeze the defenseman Brady Shea, little fake. He then got it over to Pasta, who said in the post-game interview, I knew he was going to be open. So I knew he was going back, and even Hall knew that he was coming back to him. So he just had to put it in. That was gorgeous. And I want to say that sealed the deal, but it didn't. But that was a huge goal. Slavin scores at the 11:30 mark to make it 4-2 off a bit of a I, were you shocked that that goal went in? I mean, I understand that it's from almost all the way from the left wing, the left wall, where Slavin ended up getting it. I mean, it was not a great play by Craig Smith, who tried to lob it out and didn't get it all, and Slavin kept it in. Was Swayman just not expecting that one? Because that just beat him over the shoulder, over the glove side.
That's really the only excuse reason is that he just wasn't paying attention. Like, didn't expect, either lost it when Smith tried to flip it. Maybe he thought it was out, it was going out, or he didn't see it, or it was behind, because and he didn't ever expect Slavin to shoot it because it went straight in from 70 feet, just a little
Yeah.
wrister. So I didn't hear if he had an explanation for it or wanted to give an explanation, but from my eyes, it just looked like he wasn't ready. Just caught him off guard. Didn't think he was going to wrist it like that.
Yeah. The good news, because I agree with you, that was just not a good goal to give up there. But the good news is that the Bruins came together, and especially in the last couple of minutes, even with the goaltender pulled by the Canes, the Bruins were very effective. I thought their lane blockage, their sticks, their footwork, their intensity. I didn't like some of the first period, bud. I did not like it. I thought they were getting bumped off pucks again, beaten certain areas again. I didn't see that in the second and third period, which I was very, very satisfied with.
Yeah, I mean, I think that fourth goal, them being able to finally exploit a seam,
Mm-hmm.
is a good thing that they were looking for, and they were able to pull it off. Two seam passes. We haven't seen two seam passes. We didn't see two in Carolina. Maybe the entire 120 minutes of hockey down there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a huge bonus that they feel like they're getting a little bit of making a little progress there, taking pucks to the net, opening them up a little bit, and then yeah, not giving anything up. They didn't give anything up this game again. They really didn't. And to kill so many penalties, that's a problem going forward. I mean, they have to stay out of the box.
Yep.
It's turning into a momentum killer. They got away with it tonight. They didn't get away with it in game two. They're not going to get away with it again. I
Yeah,
would
you're right.
imagine the rest of this series, they're playing on a thin margin still, even though it's 2-1. They gotta be careful with that. It's killing them.
You mentioned penalties. Both teams took 5 times short or were shorthanded 5 times. The Bruins were 2 for 5 on the power play. The Canes 0 for 5 on their power play. By the way, the Bruins got away with too many men on the ice early in the game too, so it could have been another penalty there. You could argue that the Connor Clifton penalty uh, couldn't have or shouldn't have been a penalty. But by the way, I think what happened on that play, I'm pretty sure, is that the linesman made the call when he saw what he thought was head contact and blood, then and a facial injury. And that's a major. That's when a linesman can make a call. Linesman, only minor penalties that linesmen can call. Just as a reminder, folks, there are too many men on the ice. And puck out of play. You know, the referees can ask them if they went out of play from their own zone, delay a game. Otherwise, it's all about majors. And that's when linesmen can make the call. I did not see either referee have their arm up on the Clifton hit on Smith to begin. But yes, there was blood. The linesman actually stopped the play to get Johnny Murray to get Smith off, who actually ended up being all right. And then they called a major because that's why they were able to go to review. And then they brought it down to a minor. One interesting note, in the college game, you can call a major and then nullify it, diminish it totally, Razor. You can make it nothing, but not in the NHL game. If you call a major, which is what the linesman, I believe, did, then you have to only go. The only reduction you can make is to a minor.
Yeah, which I mean, I don't doesn't seem that logical or that much common sense with that at all. And the fact that you just had to explain that for a minute and a half, it probably shouldn't be that complicated, but that's where we're at. And that was the case, watching the replay on TV, the linesman was the one who stopped the play. The linesman was the one who grabbed
Yeah,
Smith right away. The linesman, he was the one, everyone else was kind of looking around like, what's going on?
yeah,
So whatever the linesman saw, he certainly overreacted, I suppose would be the way to say it now, to what was going on with Smith and Clifton. Um, at the end of the day, I don't think you could argue too much that it was a 2-minute penalty, I suppose, but the rest weren't the ones to call it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I, I can live with it, but I actually think that even though there was contact, I think it was shoulder contact more than anything. But the linesman made it, so we move on. Thankfully, from a Bruins perspective, it didn't come back to bite them. Speaking of biting, let's mention a great place to go catch a bite. If you're in the North End, getting ready to go watch the Boston Bruins or anything else at TD Garden, Razor, what is your go-to Italian meal? What do you love when you go out to an Italian restaurant?
I make sure to get pasta. I mean, a penne vodka,
Mm-hmm.
penne alla vodka, gnocchi alla vodka, something that I wouldn't get at home. I can't you can never replicate the pasta that's at those places. So Tresca is usually a pasta, a little carbonara. They have a great carbonara there at Tresca as well.
All
Can't
right,
do
so
that at home.
no, you can't. Well, you can, but it probably
I
won't
can't.
be the same. You
Yeah.
can't. So go there and ask for the Razor. Ask for the carbonara.
Totally.
Go visit our friends Tresca in the North End on Hanover Street. Say hi to Chef Rich. Tell him the guys from Morning Brew sent you over there, and maybe Raymond Bork will be there as well. You never know when Ray will be there. Tresca is the place that has table 77, which is a balcony table. It's for a table for two overlooking Hanover Street. And now that the outdoor dining has started as of May 1st, and the weather, well, again, the next couple of days, Razor's not going to be great. But when it gets great, ask for table 77. That could be a ton of fun. Make sure as well to ask for Anna Maria's Baked Stuffed Meatballs, the best in Boston, the veal chop parm, which is also known the Ray Bork special, and everything else there. What they have there is a great wide menu. I love their fish there too. I've had it a number of times. Go check out Tresca North End and TrescaNorthEnd.com and tell us again that we sent you there. And you know what goes great with Italian food is great coffee, right? Like an espresso roast. Well, who makes the best coffee in Boston? Well, we think Fazenda does. FazendaCoffee.com is the place to go to order your Fazenda. Order whole bean, order the already ground coffee. And if you order $45 or more, as you great fans know, great listeners know, and you want a morning brew mug, and so many of you, by the way, thank you, have been posting pictures of those gorgeous mugs. Go there again, FazendaCoffee.com/morning brew. $45 or more order gets you a free mug. Lastly, let's also remind you about Bay State Brewery in the Canal District in Worcester, right next to the Woo Sox new ballpark. Bay State Brewery has been serving distinctive and different beers, handcrafting beers since 2012. They've got a full menu there as well as some great food, and they're attached to a hockey rink with 2 sheets there. So if you got anybody going to play hockey, go check them out. You can watch them play. They've got awesome food, great different beers. I was going to open a Mike Light tonight, but little late, so I'm just going with morning brew water in this game. But make sure to go 112 Harding Street in the Canal District in Worcester and check out Bay State Brewery or BayStateBrewing.com. You're a former goalie. Tell me about when you have a guy like Derek Forbert blocking shots galore. I think this was his best game as a Boston Bruin, or at least his most impactful game. I know he scored some goals early in the year. We all know that that's what he's there for. He's a quiet guy. He's a guy that I understand has got a great personality, but you just don't hear him talk much and everything. But I thought his play, and in particular, his right side of his body, where he went down to do the side saddles, like to call it, Razor, made the difference, a huge difference in this game.
Oh, monster penalty killing. We talked about the penalties they've taken. I thought he's done a good job in the series, killing
Mhm.
penalties, especially. I thought they've done a good job as a unit. I think he's done a good job, but there's no question tonight he brought it to another level, and I think this is tonight's game. What you saw was why. Um, I thought the Bruins were a good matchup for Carolina because they can do that. The defense that they have can block shots and be big and get in the lane, and Forbert certainly proved that over on the left side on the PK tonight. And PK it's special teams. Listen, that's what this team has been built on for a long time. Their power play, timely goals, and their penalty kill has always been stellar, and that was no doubt the big reason tonight for them to get a win.
9 block shots. There's an art to blocking shots besides having to have the gonads, the pelotas, the guts to do it. There's also a style. I think I've told you this before. Andy Sutton was a guy that I watched for a couple of years, block shots all the time. A 6'6" defenseman, a little bit bigger than Derek Forbert, but he used to do that same side saddle thing. He would go to he was a lefty shot as well. He would go to his side, and his right shin pad had extra protection. His right pad, his right skate did. Um, and he's just putting his body on the line, and it makes such a difference. And to a goaltender, you just probably get used to how he's doing it. But is there a skill that you need to develop too as a goalie when you have a guy like that that blocks or that attempts to block that many shots?
Well, it gives you confidence that you can look on one side of the net that he's going to block the other side. And we just talked about the Pesci goal where the he's looking more to the inside, giving up the short side, expecting it to get blocked. In Swayman's case, he knew Forbert was going to block all of those tonight, whether he was lined up on the short side or far side. You just have to take care of the opposite side, so you get that confidence in your read, knowing that you only have to take care of certain area of the net, and Forbert's got the rest, or your defense, who's blocking all the shots, has the rest.
He was outstanding, as was Curtis Lazar. I felt had a monster game. Curtis Lazar was on the PK for 5 minutes and 13 seconds. Check out these numbers just for PK guys, Razor. Uh, you had Lazar 513, Carlos 606, Forbert 646, and then Tomasz Nosek, who I also thought had a huge game in that. And when I say a huge game, an impactful game, his numbers don't jump out at you, but he played 514 shorthanded. He was 5 of 7 in the faceoff circle, and I believe it was 4 of 5 Razor on the PK. So that's very big when he was out there. But I thought Lazar, Nosek, Carlo on the PK, but obviously Forbert were excellent in that regard, making a huge difference. What did you think of the lines? Putting the top line back, the Bergeron line back. I mean, they obviously they came through with the Marchand goal. Then they had the power play goals too. But was there anything that jumped out at you, or any thought that you had on that line back together?
Uh, I didn't love it. I figured they were going to be able to exploit a matchup no matter what. I guess you go all in
Mm-hmm.
when you do this, and Bruce must have known he was going to get the matchup that he wanted for those three guys, and felt as though he could take advantage that way without having to spread the wealth, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
It That's what I'm interested going forward, and I'm interested in what you think. Is was this a matchup positive that Bruins can use in games 4 and 6, or was this just kind of a one and done, one of those games where Carolina gave up a little bit more? It's a 7 game series. They didn't want it as much as the Bruins, but can get back to shutting everybody down.
Well, I do think I'm trying to pull up natural stat trick here too, and just to get the actual numbers on who played and everything. But my computer's acting kind of crazy, so I won't get it. But I do think it played a significant role in the game 3. I do, where you got the Bergeron line away from Stahl. By the way, Sebastian Aho and Bergeron were going at it. Especially Aho was trying to give Bergeron a lot of shit. You could tell throughout the game. I found it interesting. It was almost was it well was it you didn't hear Aho's name an awful lot, but he was giving some shots to Bergie here and there away from the play, etc. I'd be really curious if they can if they would marksmanship it a little bit and toggle the lines around a little bit for game 4. I don't think they will, but I wonder if that would be smart too, to come out and show something a little bit different for game 4 and maybe create something different. Maybe I'm overthinking it. There was a couple of shifts in the second period where the Bergeron line got their motors going. They got their razzle dazzle going, and that was good to see in the cycle game. But it wasn't like, oh my, that line dominated out there. I actually thought, again, I thought Chris Wagner had a hell of a game. I did. I thought he had a hell of a game. That line, Lazar drew 2 penalties
Mhm.
in this game, so they had a significant impact, I felt. But I'm gonna be like you. I'm curious to see if this is something that the Bruins can exploit more. I do believe matchups, having the home ice is more advantageous, Razor, to the Bruins perhaps than it is to the Canes.
hmm And the other thing that happened tonight, noticing Bergeron was losing a bunch of draws again early, a bunch of draws, important draws, and that turned around in the second and third period. He was
Mm-hmm.
winning, or at least 50-50, where his line mates were helping him out. It was noticeable. I don't know if the numbers really will say the exact same thing, but it was noticeable that he was winning timely draws
Yep.
more so than what he was in the first 6, 8, 7 periods of the series.
Yeah, I don't remember his first period numbers, but I believe it may have been 500 at best, right?
Yeah,
He ended up
felt like
11 of 17. So you're right. He did start winning more. He started getting more. I thought Jake DeBrusk showed some good gumption near the end of the game. Um, I mean, just a good old effort. Mike Riley showed himself well, played 14:09, came in, but that's perhaps the right amount of minutes for him. Now, again, he doesn't get a ton of minutes on the PK, so maybe he would have gotten more, obviously, if there weren't as many power plays for Carolina. But a good effort, a smart effort. But you better believe Sunday at 12:30. Sometimes these afternoon games can be tough to get up for. You know what I mean? A different
yeah.
energy there. I think Carolina's going to come out on fire, man. I do. I think they're going to be ready. Bruins, cliche time. They better be ready better have their alarm set. And if they are, win this next game, it's all you need to worry about. Well, now you're into, obviously, a whole new series.
That's the mindset. That was the mindset going in tonight. Win today, and we're right back in it. Win Sunday afternoon, and we're definitely in it. And we
Yeah.
have all the momentum back. So yeah, just great to see them check back into the series. Makes things interesting the next 3, 4, 5 days again for all of us.
Yeah, it is nice. It's nice to have that. Little side nugget. Hampus Lindholm was upstairs on the ninth floor a bit. People saw him, and I heard, when I say he looked good, meaning I guess it's encouraging. Whatever that means, who knows? If he has any kind of a concussion, he's out for 7 days. So, but we don't know. But at least he's not in a dark room, sitting there by himself. So I'm going to find the positive in that. You know me, Mr. Cheery.
Yeah.
Mr. Hackle.
Yeah, you're farther along. Yeah, I'm glad he's not hurt. But we're not seeing
Exactly.
him play Sunday afternoon at 12:30.
I don't think so either. No. Bruins do have a practice on Saturday at noon at Warrior. I got to imagine the Canes will practice because nobody on Sunday will. Game is at 12:30. Pregame at 11:30. We are going to thank Berkshire Bank for being our presenting sponsor, and also Bay State Brewing, Fazenda Coffee, and Tresca in the North End for supporting the show. All right, Razor, that's going to wrap it up. Great stuff. You and I will talk again after the game on Sunday. We'll figure out what time we can, considering that moms and wives will play a more important role post-game Sunday, no matter the result of the Bruins-Canes game. That's going to do it for Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. Everybody enjoy this victory for the next 24 to 30 hours or so. Bruins win 4-2. It's 2-1 now in favor of Carolina in the series. We'll talk to you sometime after Sunday's game. And between now and then, enjoy an extra cup of coffee.